Hey, what's going on? It's Andre Capella here with another video. Today the video is going to be about 1031 exchanges. When you buy a piece of real estate and you do what we were talking about in the other videos with the kitchen and bathroom renovations, you build some equity into, you have to do another calculation. It's called your return on equity. If you really want to leverage your money the best way possible, you really have to see how much your money is making for you every year. It's not enough to just buy a rental property and just hold it for 30 years. I mean, it is enough if you don't mind getting to your goals slowly. But if you want to get there faster, you're going to have to calculate every year, because your property is going to appreciate. Even after you calculate the appreciation from the bathroom, kitchen, floors, paint, whatever, your property is still going to keep appreciating, because that's the beauty of real estate. And you're also going to be building more equity, because guess what? Every time your tenant pays you, there's a portion of that rent that is paying down the mortgage. So every year, like let's say you're making $1,000 a month from a building, you might be making another $1,000 a month from just equity building up every single month. And that's the part that a lot of people don't see, because it's not money going into their pocket. So after a couple years, and that $1,000, $12,000 a year is like about 40 grand. 4 years, it's about 50 grand. So you want to see if it makes sense for you to sell. A lot of people don't want to sell because, I'm gonna have to pay taxes, and that's where the 1031 exchange comes into play. So when you do a 1031 exchange, basically you're gonna go to see, I haven't done it yet. I'm planning on doing it this year. You go to a lawyer or an accountant. I should really know this, but I'm drawing a blank right now. But they set up this trust for you, and in 6 months, you have to identify and purchase a property. I'll use the property in the last example for the last video. So you had that $100,000 property. You bought it, you renovated it, you were $140,000 into the property, right? You cashed out. You cashed out refinanced, so you ended up getting that $144,000 check, and now you're just collecting cash flow on the property. So let's say you fast forward 5 years, and now the equity you have in that place is, let's say the place is worth let's say the place is worth $250. It was worth $180 5 years ago, right? So now you have an extra $70,000 in equity in there. And then on top of that $70,000 in appreciation, let's say you were also making $1,000 a month in like debt pay down. You know what I mean? Or let's say $500 a month. So that's $6,000 a year times 5, that's 30 grand. So you had that 30 grand plus the other 70 grand, that's 100 grand, right? Tied up in the property, because after that 100K doesn't really pay you the return on investment you would like, is when you look into a 1031 exchange. You can, in theory, cash out, refinance again, right? But then what happens every time you cash out, refinance, is your mortgage payment goes up. So you do suck cash flow out of your property. But a bird in the hand beats a bird in the bush. So it all depends on if you have a plan for that capital. If you don't have a plan for the capital, what I'm explaining here does not make sense, and you shouldn't even start the 1031 process, because you can run into issues if you don't complete the 1031 exchange within the 6-month period that you're allowed. Then you're gonna end up having to pay taxes, and that's gonna be expensive. The primary residence, you get to sell it after 2 years completely tax-free and make up to a $250,000 profit. If you're married, you get to make 500 grand, 250 each. So that's different if it's primary, but we're talking strictly investment properties. A 1031 exchange is basically how you avoid paying taxes forever. The goal is to sell your property to buy a bigger property. Let me repeat that. The goal is never to sell your property to make money. The goal is to sell your property to buy a bigger property. Because what's going to end up happening is it's just going to keep snowballing and snowballing and snowballing. You have $100,000 equity that you want to get out. Instead of selling your house or your investment property and paying $20,000 in taxes, you 1031 exchange. So now that $20,000, shit, that's another down payment for a house. If we're using the example from the first video, you want to avoid taxes, you need to look into 1031 exchanges. You could even buy property in a self-directed IRA. I don't know how to do that yet. I'm working on the 1031 exchange this year, and then I'll probably get into some of that stuff. I really want to spread as much knowledge as possible when it comes to real estate, because real estate is such a good tool to build wealth, and it's not complicated. It's really not. It does take a little bit of research and a little bit of money and a little bit of discipline, but once you have those skills, I mean, that sets you up for anything in life, really.